A lot of people see me and, they see a black guy, kind of a roundish, bald head black guy. I mean, they see the blue beard sometimes, and that kind of lightens up the mood. Often, in this society, sometimes people clutch their purse. Things like that happen. But I'd like them to know more about my whimsical side. I'm Jimmy Robinson. I'm a writer and an artist and a letterer and a colorist. I can do a comic book from cover to cover. I make art to communicate. I think artists are the myth makers of society, the zeitgeist of what's going on. For me, that means doing that through my books, my stories. I did a book called Power Lines, a black kid in Richmond who has superpowers, but they only activate in Benicia's white suburbs and vice versa, where there's this woman, middle-aged white woman in Benicia who has to come to Richmond inner city just to have her powers activate. And that was a way of talking about race relations because there's things that need to be said.
Oakland Kids First is an organization that really seeks to amplify the voice and power of young people in Oakland. The comic book project is really an opportunity for us to tell the story of our youth organizers. It's about the themes of gentrification and school closures, which have really been a huge thing in Oakland.
We told the story through the lives of 4 high school students who are superheroes. So we put a call out to the community to see who could be our artist.
I'm like, hey, I'm from Oakland, 40 plus years born and raised there. I'm like, hey, I want to get in on that.
I met up with our writer and he asked me, he's like, who have you been getting submissions from? And so when I mentioned Jimmy's name, he just said, stop right there. You found your artist.
It was interesting meeting the kids because it was like, who's this old guy coming up here, whatever. I felt kind of like I'm just trying to process what they are and put it on the page. This is you over here winning in the court. Your hair's supposed to change color when you use your superpowers. So I couldn't just black it in on the art. And Heavenly just has the bun thing going on, So your little thing goes boop. Turns into a little tree.
My first impression was his beard. I'm all like, oh, I like that beard. It's like, it's not like if it's the whole thing is just right here. I'm all like, I might do that. I might want to do that.
Overall, he's just like a dope person. I love his drawings.
The first thing I seen when I look at pictures was my unibrow. And I was like, okay, so you got the unibrow, you got my glasses, we good?
Not everybody wants to read a comic book about city government. But if you make it about superheroes, it becomes the vehicle where superheroes are making a statement about society and government and power and responsibility. Then they're like, maybe there's some interest you get other kids to read. There's a lot of experiences that they wanted to bring to this story, real life experiences.
My house caught on fire during freshman year. And so the whole recovery, calling a bunch of shelters. And my mom was like, what, can I not bring my daughter? And they were like, no, she's too old.
That reminds me of the actual tree that was in front of my house, my old house. In our old house, our landlord was not the best. There was mold in the walls. My mom almost died in that house.
This project has a lot of issues I think we need to be talking about right now. Problem solving, working with city government, and about the youth doing it. Some people leave it up to those already in power and not realizing that they themselves have a voice.
The students that we're working with and are featured in this comic book are dealing with displacement and school closure. And this story is really them taking on those issues head on, organizing their peers, utilizing their newfound superpowers to stay in Oakland and to find a way to claim space in a world that wants to push them out.
I'm very loyal to Casmont. Once a night, always a night. My aunt went here, my older sister went here. Casmont was facing foreclosure, and if it was to close down, I'll just be heartbroken. I feel like if you read this comic book, you're gonna be empowered to join, to chip in, to put your word in, to be like, oh, if they go into the city, I'm going to the city too.
The kids that this book's inspired by, you're basically looking at the future. It's really heartwarming in one way. I'm concerned about the future for this generation and beyond. Is art my superpower? No. Drawing is great. Writing is fun as well. But I think the aspect of creating and having the ability to create in ways that reflect a lot of cultural change is a superpower. I'm always trying to emphasize to people that everyone's creative in their own way. And I know that's a little cliche, but it's true. You don't have to have that superpower of drawing to have that ability to create.